Price channel of light fluid. Welcome back to the Minotaur Hotel with a bit of a new look to this title screen. Anyway, last time Leo and Asterion were still on their little vacation, so let's see how things are going with them. To calm my modest heart, my hands make search, for where control and shame and modesty have disappeared. They left their fire lit, they journeyed on and left me with this heat that racks my gut and brain. A deeper search, in seeking modesty, have digits mine made modesty now leave for good? A voice still calls for even deeper search in there. So, how's it supposed to go? He rubs his left hand with his right. A sigh escapes from his throat as his eyes wander to the sofa. The liar sits silent on it. Asterion cannot pluck the strings and adjust the tuning to calm his hands right now. But alas, what else is he to do with his hands? Just be honest with him. He's there to hear what you have to say and help you through your emotions. That's what therapists are about in a nutshell. Take a breath and try not to overthink it. The Minotaur looks back to his tablet screen. He sees his own reflection on the dark surface looking back, nostrils flaring with each exhale. In only 10 minutes his first therapy session will start. By the professional code, everything you tell him stays between the two of you. What Robert told me, this guy's very good and shouldn't have any issues. He's experienced with mythicals. I'll be out exploring the island while in session too. The whole place is yours, full and complete privacy. Am I allowed to tell you how it went? You can if you want, but that's up to you. If you think talking with me will help, then I'm all ears, babe. You kiss his lovely birthmark. There's green tea and coffee in the kitchen. Do you have any more questions? I do not. Thank you. All right, have fun. Love you. I love you too. You put on the jacket and leave. While your beloved explores his own self, this island is laid bare to you. There are 2 cottages nearby, a large one closest to Asterion's palace, and one up ahead guarding the road, more modest and simple. You could also explore the woods. Perhaps there are old monuments and mysteries to uncover there. Or you could venture into the town, visit the large cathedral or the smaller chapel, the town plaza, or walk by the shore. Looked like there were even some workshops down there. You recall seeing some unfinished sculptural armatures inside a spacious home. There should be enough time to visit 2 locations. What, good lord, is your choice? Let's check out the town plaza first. By the way, this only came out a couple of days ago as I record. I have not had time to read through this, so I'm going completely blind. By the shore you find the town's plaza. Around it the husks of all the usual commerces you would find. A bakery, a butcher's shop, a restaurant here and there, a shoemaker's workshop, a blacksmith, a town hall, a post office. All of it transplanted from the outside world into this replica of a town. However, it seems as though these establishments were never used for their intended purposes. They are all overtaken and repurposed. The shoemaker's workshop has unfinished musical instruments hanging from the walls. The bakery was turned into a cellar, the old stone oven full of books and boxes. One restaurant became a food dispensary, too full of barrels and cabinets to seat anyone. The other became some kind of cantina with a few communal tables. The town hall became a daycare nursery. A doll still sits on the windowsill watching the town. The post office, an improvised doctor's clinic, with cots behind the adorned reception counters. All of it empty for decades now, except the eternal flames that illuminate this island. One can imagine what this village must have been like back then, when Asterion had filled it with his most trusted men and women. How lively it must have been. What life they shared. But now this world is empty, alone, and all but forgotten to man and God. except for Asterion. Let's check out the sculptures workshop as well then. If one follows the cliff's edge down to the town, you'll be taken to a wide street bordered by empty homes on the right and the shore to the left. The street itself is a few metres above the waterline, which is why handrails were installed to stop any drunken fool or daydreamer in the twilight from plummeting to their demise. From this place, the darkened lake has an almost mystical aura to it. The sky facing this shore is particularly dense with shining gemstones, mimicking the Milky Way's arm, and so benches were installed. After a moment to enjoy the scenery, your gaze goes to a very distinct establishment to your right. What seems to be a small plaza and a home repurposed into some kind of workshop. The plaza has a dozen statues, one bust of a very familiar Minotaur, two depicting smiling children, one of a beloved wife, a crucified Christ, a pensive maiden sitting on a bench, and 6 more unfinished ones. As for the home, its ground floor still has the tools of sculptor's craft and 3 blocks of marble. On the shelves there are a dozen notebooks, each one leather-bound and with a title of its own. It would seem this workshop's workers were no strangers to writing. You thumb through one and, alas, the torrid romance of Gladys, the heroine, cannot quite grip you, despite the lurid details. The handwriting, at least, is very pretty. Whoever lived here would seem left in a hurry, and Asterion did not clean up after them. Perhaps another victim of Clement's situation. A handful of rough and unfinished clay pieces sit on the table, along with some tools, left without cleaning. A dozen more rough and unfinished pieces sit on a mantel. The clay sketched face with a weird expression, an armature of the 3 Graces, and a few animal figurines keep watch. As you are leaving, you catch a plaque hanging from the door. May my works in my absence become long-lasting friends. Further down the street, however, you see another statue. Like the fair maiden, it sits on a slab of rock, this one overlooking the lake. Unlike the girl, this one is decidedly not human in nature. It is a turtle sitting upright, with its hind legs dangling from the bench. Its front legs end in hands with short, stubby fingers, both hanging rather limply and alone. Its head is larger than you would expect, and is decorated with a regal pair of very bovine horns. Its mouth hangs open, and from it, when the breeze is just right, drifts a faint whistling written with nostalgia. A yearning for something very human. Friendship, good company, warmth in this dark netherworld. Or perhaps it is the watchman, overlooking the lake and the sky for any potential intruders, unlikely as the prospect may be. You sit by the turtle. The wind blows, and with it rises the singing, as if your company was all it desired. How sad it must have been here, all alone for the 80 years during which Asterion was locked in the cold room. How quiet this world must have been without a soul to call a friend. You lay a hand on its knee, perhaps a gesture of support for its singing is deserved. And there you remain for maybe half an hour, watching the stars and enjoying the company of this obsidian friend. Even an object, after all, can feel love and warmth, like an instrument that loses or maintains its tuning in response to how dearly it is cherished and taken care of. But the time to leave comes. There is still much to see. You ought not to leave Asterion waiting by dawdling too much. You turn your back to the statue and walk back home to see what there is to see from that vantage point. How odd it is, however, when his whistling does not fade with distance. In fact, it is not long before it drifts down the woods to you. Here and there through this hour, you think you catch it again on the faint breeze, as if that friend had been with you all along. You keep exploring this dark world, taking more of its peculiarities. Even after all those years, the place retains its signs of life. Like it was a small village, living and breathing in secret beneath the hotel only a few days ago. You find a bench from which you can observe the shore, the waves lapping up and down, and enjoy the peace. In the far distance, however, there is a splash and a ripple. With the fake stars above reflected on the water, you can just barely make out something torpedoing towards the shore. You have just enough time to go down to the beach for a better look. When it approaches the shore, it doesn't slow down. In fact, it bursts out from the depths, and out comes Kota, trotting as if slowing down from a leisure run, laughing like a madman. That was quite an entrance. Leo, why didn't you ever tell me I had this beautiful lake here? If I had known, I'd have been diving here every day since I arrived. You should tell Asterion that. I didn't know this place existed until he invited me to see it. I might. But we have some business first, you and I. I found the contract you requested and took the liberty to discuss with the boys how to deal with it. I hope I'm not too tardy with it. I had to set aside some time to assist the others. They are planning an excursion to check on that boy down in the valley. As competent as he seems, him being there alone is hard to stomach. But anyway, go and find the documents we found in the bedrock. You should be able to just sign a new contract declaring it void. I have both of them with me. Oh, don't worry, the container is waterproof. It all happens in a moment. The new contract, printed on the sheet of A4 paper with a ballpoint pen clipped to it. You read it out just to be sure. There is no twist or mistake. You sign on the dotted line, and it is done. Before you, the ancient contract crackles and disintegrates into a fine dust as a protection that made it everlasting wanes. All there's left is its ancient dust inside the folder. Excellent. I believe you made the right choice, boss. Thank you. I don't think it'll actually change anything, but that's the point. Yeah, it's about him having the power to choose. He lets out a deep guffaw. How very human of you. The gods would never think of it that way. There's an uncharacteristic depth to his voice. As if an unmentioned idea is swimming at the surface. Even as he laughs and smiles, there is a somberness. His eyes, softer than ever, move ever so slightly the horizon, to an uncomfortable truth, to a future beyond a mortal's lifespan. For a moment his eyes narrow as he becomes aware of their lingering discomfort. He clicks his tongue and changes the subject. Now, how about that excursion I mentioned? The boy himself told me he'd be fine on his own. He's a master of surviving in the valley. I just can't stomach the idea of him all alone down there. Yes, knowing he's just a regular guy does make a difference. I suppose it's easier when we assumed he wouldn't have any trouble with the fauna. He's just as likely to get hurt as anyone else. Plus, the nights down there must be lonely. That's precisely it. You won't just go into one of the more dangerous locations there without backup, would you? Thus, Kenbish came with the idea of an excursion to check on him, help if necessary, and keep him company. Don't you worry about the hotel, by the way. It's been smooth sailing, so we don't anticipate any difficulties in our absence. Good. I suppose this will be a chance to learn with Nikos, too. I'm sure he has more than a few tricks for safely navigating through the valley. No doubt. But it is funny how much my perception of him changed. I learned that he's more than a creature crafted by the realm. Funny how later another as a monster changes one's view, is it not? As a mythical, that word held little meaning to me. But it would have been easy to disregard Nikos. What I've gathered, he seems to be quite the fine young man. Very pious and faithful, which is why I feel for him. He was just a selfless boy dedicating himself to his deity's service. It is only natural for mortals to trust and think highly of their patrons, is it not? Kota's gaze wanders off to a wistful past. Perhaps he thinks of mortals he met in his homeland. Vigilant shrine attendants, honoured heroes, faithful worshippers. Just as you prepare to interject, you stop yourself. There, in the glimmer of the dragon's eyes, you notice a drop of venom. To think so highly of the snake implies a proportional disapproval of the trickster god who led him astray. Perhaps Kota's cheerfulness towards Nikos belies something much sharper and wiser. Perhaps. This is not the first time you met someone like Nikos, is it? Good people who have been cast out by their gods or whose prayers went unanswered. That is correct. I make no mistake. Even at my peak, I was no great deity. But I cared for my people and those who came to me in their darkest moments. Right now, the last thing I want is to leave a pious young man like him alone, with only his darkest thoughts for company. A hole was left in his heart, one that good company and cheer might fill. And if not, then at least we may distract from the pain. It's very kind of you, Kota. Maybe things would have been better if Nikos had he been under the service of a smaller god such as yourself. Sending an excursion sounds like a good idea. Just take care, be safe, and come back unharmed. But of course. Now, there's just one last detail I want you to check with you. Tell me, do you think Nikos would be a good addition to our team? As an employee, you mean? No doubt he could teach us a lot about the valley and how to explore it, on top of having first-hand experience with at least one god. I'm a bit concerned about his conflict with Pedro, how explosively things devolve to violence when they are merely in the same room together. Particularly if Pedro and Oscar decide to stay here for a while, that could become a major problem. Yes, I suppose you're right. Perhaps bringing Nikos in may cause issues. You plan to extend a job offer to Pedro as well. He allows that to sit between you as a droplet from the ceiling above spatters at your feet. Another plunks into the placid waters nearby. The similarly placid dragon doesn't even bat an eye when yet another falls upon his head to glisten in his mane like a jewelled ornament. Robert called it a grudge between their bloodlines, like it's some kind of curse they have to act on because of their chaos. Kota hesitates. These things are difficult to explain to non-mythicals. The short answer is, it's much more complicated than that. For a longer answer, this type of grudge, or curse, if you must, is often far too old and soaked in blood to be dealt with so simply. I doubt even this realm's power can overwrite or work around such a thing. Again, the sound of falling raindrops fills the silence between the two of you. Doesn't need to have any enmity with Oscar, at least. Perhaps there is some hope to be had there. Anyway, the reason why I'm asking is because if you want to have Nikos join us, I can try to come up with something that may help him feel extra welcome. And I'm sure Kenbush would love the idea. So what will it be? Would you like me to think up something special for Nikos? I think we probably should. I mean, he's been there a while. We've learned what he's gone through. So sure, let's go the extra mile. Assuming it's not too much trouble, sure. Let's go the extra mile. If he doesn't end up on the team, there's no reason not to be nice to him. What exactly do you have in mind? Anything at all, really. I'll figure it out. And if I don't, I'll just tell him the truth. That our kind leader personally approved our excursion and sincerely wishes him a night of good company and leisure. I tried to generate the finest Tikudia I could to give him a taste of home where the boy not a teetotaler. Now, if that is all... He bows. I absolutely must swim some laps around this island. I've never seen water so pure. Have fun. With the same leaping momentum, Kota jumps into the lake while barely leaving a ripple behind. You cannot catch any hint of where he may have swum. No dark shape under the starry reflections, no sudden movements or jerks. It's as if he had become water itself. Making your way home, you hear a song drifting through the woods. It's Asterion's lyre, clear and lively, wishing to be heard. His therapy session must be over if he's out here playing. You follow the song to the ring of nixwood trees. There, sitting with his back to the trunk, is Asterion and his lyre. You see his gaze linger on an axe leaning against a column. You don't recall it being there the other day. Have you been chopping wood? Only swinging it around. Only swinging it around? He shrugs. Can't a man swing a thing around to think? I guess. How's your session? It was all right, I suppose. You sit down beside him as his gaze wanders off. His ears swivel, his jaw tenses, and he ruminates on how to describe it. I was a bit sceptical of the idea. A part of me struggled to believe that any good could come out of burdening a stranger with my past. I doubt most people would believe me, given my history. But it was not bad. In fact, The therapist is called Yusuf, and I think he belongs to a species of mythical I'd heard about when I was a child, which I had not seen with my own eyes. I remember stories from merchants and dignitaries from the land of Kemet, in North Africa. I believe today it is called Egypt. They would speak at length about their gods' attendants, who would be gifted with a similar likeness to their deities. In particular, I recall stories about their scarab deity, because his talismans were said to be protective. They are abundant in the palace and in all of Crete. Oh, so he's a scarab? Yes, and his family comes from North Africa. I'll admit that it's a bit difficult understanding his speech at first. His mouth is quite unlike a human's, and he is very hard to read. I think he tried to make a joke a few times, be personable. Well, I confess I'm not fully sure. But perhaps because of his storied lineage, he is no stranger to very exceptional stories. He told me he's worked with mythicals many centuries old. We talked a bit about knowing he especially long-lived for a while before getting to my own story. Telling him about myself was easier than I expected, though he did not have time to go too deeply into things. Sounds like he got along well enough for a first session. Not like you can expect to cover everything immediately. Yes, he said that I did not have to follow up with the second one if I felt that we did not match. However, I am unsure. Burdening a stranger with what I have been through gives me a sour taste. I am still thinking if I want to keep trying or not. His fingers trace the strings, but don't quite play. Therapy can take a while until you get the hang of it and build rapport. It's natural that it feels uncomfortable at the start. It'll still feel odd and discomforting every now and then, I'm afraid. Facing your demons is never a walk in the park. And you aren't really burdening the guy. This is his job. It's how he makes his living, and one can assume it's what he enjoys doing. Considering the rates he charges, I say he must be quite happy with your patronage, in fact. But if you were having trouble getting along with this guy, then it could be good trying a different one. Well, I don't have any objections towards him in particular. He's kind and understanding. I'll keep trying then. He proposed that having a few sessions per week might be the best, at least as we get to know each other better. I will accept it. Therapy can take a while to give results, so don't worry if it feels weird at first. But persistence is key. Hitting the ground running like that could help build rapport quicker than just weekly. I'll say that I can see why he and Robert get along. They are both very distinguished men. Oh, there are two things we discussed I wish to bring up with you. He starts plucking the string, alternating the finger he uses. While talking about, my life circumstances, I brought up that I'd recently come to know another Minotaur. Yusuf thought it was a good that we got along, and suggested I keep exploring this friendship. I also promised Pedro that I'd tell him and Oscar the truth. I'd rather not let him wait for longer, lest it become an issue. On top of that, his grandfather came here a few times. We ought to talk about that, and I think it'll give him some closure. So, I wanted to know, would it be all right if I invited Pedro and Oscar to spend the night? His tail plaps the ground. Please? You lean against him and place a hand on his thigh. Of course, why not? Just make sure that the guest bedroom doesn't smell weird in case they spend the night. Well, it is just some old wine that got spilled. There is, of course, a ritual to having guests over. The night's dishes must be picked with a strategic mindset. Beef and cow dairy, of course, are out of the question, and so is poultry. Asterion insisted on roast mutton. While Asterion prepares it, you elect to make a salad and some baked goat cheese as an appetizer. If only I thought to get Kenvish to help. He could really make this something special. Little Star, this'll be plenty special, and more personal too. Half an hour before the agreed-upon time, you left to cross the lake and escort the duo to the cottage, the underworld equivalent of picking up friends at the airport. You, like a responsible adult, held the fort as the smell of herbs and more filled the air, the headiness of oregano, dill, and dittany in the oven, the sharpness of the vinegar and baked quince in the salad, and the tang of the shell for as it browns. They arrived sooner than expected, however. As they cross the threshold of the palace complex, Oscar's eyes are filled with wonder and curiosity, while Pedro walks in as if he knows the place already. The usual pleasantries are thrown back and forth, till Oscar extends a bottle of wine to Asterion. It's, Italian. Kota promises real good. The older Minotaur, of course, insists it was not necessary, and, in a masterful move, decides to open the wine during dinner so they may share it with such fine company. All sit by the dining table in the living room, where Asterion and you laid out a selection of fruits, crackers, and bruschetta. Oscar, smiling broadly, nudges Pedro. He points to the gauge in his ear, then to the rings in Asterion's ears, and whispers to Pedro. It's not rude to just tell him. Your piercings are really cool, Mr. Asterion. Thank you. It is much appreciated. Asterion squeezes your hand with equal appreciation. So, how's your stay in the hotel so far, and how's the trip? Oscar's been having the time of his life. Yeah. He tries to speak with a mouthful of crackers. He coughs, swallows, sips from his water, and starts again. Yeah, Luke and Kota set up a room just for me to practice my drumming. It was very necessary. Surprised I went through so much trouble just the two of us, though. We have all the space we could ever need here. Setting a room or two aside is no trouble at all. And that's the sort of hospitality we like to offer anyway. We hope our guests all feel as at home as possible here. Are you been practicing by yourself, Oscar? Turns out there's a drummer from Sao Paulo staying here and he's been teaching me. He's got me learning sheet music and rudiments right now. I saw a nasty divorce. He used the company and the income, but jumped the opportunity of teaching a few lessons. Well, Luke loves to drop in to watch and cheer. He's a pretty sweet guy, always gone about chasing my dreams and such. He invited us to go stargazing with the guys, and I played a pair of bongos my teacher brought with him. All the drums I got, you didn't get your own bongos? I should be ashamed. Oscar grumbles, but still smiles. And how about you, Pedro? I was told you've been spending a lot of time down in the bedrock. Yeah, but can you blame me? I'm an occultist. I just had to figure out how this place works. Pedro pops a grape into his beak. It's fascinating. This realm functions more like a computer than traditional magic. It's very mathematical and logical. And no formal rituals. It's a whole lot of describing materials, drawing up sound structures, setting up contracts and logic. It really is more of a science than a magical art. I think Newton would have loved to see all this. He chortles. That's not how it works back in the outside world. If it did, people still have to give us credit when we'll be struggling to pay their bills. Anyway, it's been interesting. Don't think I'll be able to take away truly usable lessons from it, since the realm is so different, but it's been incredible. He's a bruschetta, opening his mouth, putting it in, and seemingly swallowing it whole. You can almost hear Luke shriek all the way from the surface. But you hold it in like a good host. The peacock's gaze drifts across the room. They're not sticking to anything in particular. I may have found a thing or two you might find useful, though. Why charms don't work here, for instance? Asterion's ears flick. Oscar continues eating. I have a few leads. First, the most obvious one. The way this place works is so fundamentally different from any other place that, simply put, many rights shouldn't be replicable here at all. It's like running software on the wrong operating system. Most charms used nowadays are on passports. Those use the country's sovereignty as its basis. The very social pact of the land is what upholds the charm's effects, which incidentally means they can malfunction in times of social unrest. But this place seems to exist beyond the reach of countries. For a charm here, they may as well not exist at all. Even charms that don't rely on a country's power still malfunction. Maybe when the charm was created, it's trying to evoke something like a bond with a specific person or some kind of shared sense of belonging, which might be just as out of range in this place as the sovereignty of a country. Even charms that don't rely on a nation in particular should still malfunction here. Something similar as calling for culture or land in its prayer could be an issue. Which leads me to another possible explanation. Because the rites of magic are inseparable from the culture that created them. Without specific human context, they don't function well here. Some rites might still be doable here, but not many. Oscar's looking into it too, actually. This time he speaks with his mouth full. Yeah. I managed to get one working. I wanted the fire. I don't know why, I want you to go through without trouble. His ears perk up when he notices his manners. He pauses to swallow. Sorry, Mr. Asterion, but this place works pretty different from what Pedro taught me back home, but some stuff seems, transferable. It's kind of like the laws of nature and stuff. Water's wet and everything falls down. Even when in a different place, those rules still work, right? There's some rules to magic, too. Some things are just there because they're part of the world. There's this thing called recursion Pedro taught me about. So that when things keep happening over and over, when something hits so hard it can't help but leave a mark and keep happening. Alright, Pedro? Pedro nods. Recursion is a feature of the world. The events, people, stories can create patterns which become self-reinforcing. Tragedy and grief pile on those who suffer the most, while grace and blessings concentrate on those who had them from birth. Mythicals, for better or worse, seem to be particularly vulnerable to it. Perhaps because our origins are often so memorable and marked either by glory or grief. Once a pattern's been established, it becomes its own independent phenomena. It's not tied to the circumstances that created it. It pulls people in, like a magnet. Brings stuff together and make it repeat and repeat generation after generation. And the more it cycles, the stronger it gets. Like when a microphone picks up the sound coming from the amp, and it comes out louder and louder. Just like that. Recursion's still a thing here, I think. But I don't reckon curses come through. Kenrich and I got in the habit of playing cards with Luke and Kota. One of these nights he's telling me about what his life's like for him and his family back in Mongolia. I struggled real bad with getting good charms, so I asked Pedro and he promised to help. After that, Kenrich got real talkative about some stuff he noticed. We were joking that he's cursed with bad luck in cards and dice. We think there's something here stopping curses from doing what they're supposed to. It seems like he does pretty good at cards when I play. Or at least whatever's up with this place getting in the curse's way. He still gets some bad streaks, but he can win often enough. Or maybe I'm just shit at cards. I actually have a theory about that. About cards? Yeah, next time we'll teach him Joker de Bicho. No, about curses. Oh, right. He starts chomping again. So I've been spending some time in that place, the one you call the Bedrock, right? Kota's been there a lot too. Looking at a document, we ended up helping each other. He's a kind man. We talked a lot after Oscar told him an occultist. He's very generous, and despite not knowing how to perform any rites himself, told me a lot about Shinto ceremonies. We had a whole back and forth after that, and helped him with some personal stuff. In the end, we managed to find the document he's looking for. Someone hid it behind a shelf, inside a locked box, who knows how long ago. We even cracked the password together. With a hammer. In the process, I found some really old papers too. Yeah, these scraps of parchment saying that taking in guests and providing sort of hospitality is part of its mission. I don't understand what exactly this place is yet, but I think it's actively counteracting curses to some extent as part of that purpose. How did it go again? Pedro leans back as if thinking, but his voice comes out like a well-rehearsed actor's. It is this realm's mission to provide respite to the lost, the wanderers, and the dregs of mankind. His gaze turns to you. The master must abide by the teachings of, and of hospitality to the guests. Indeed, this is what the constitution of the labyrinth reveals. The peacock must have found it in his time at the bedrock. You raise an eyebrow, your gaze sharp and steeled. You weigh and ponder this new development. In a way, it's no surprise that Pedro snooped around. But the constitution is too close for comfort. Asterion's situation is not public. From the corner of your eye, you catch Asterion scratching his fingertips against the tablecloth. But the tension's not so high one ought to intervene. Not yet. And despite that small pang of anxiety in his hands, tonight Asterion has a fresh dignity to his posture. He takes a breath. His gaze shifts to you for a split second, firm and confident, and you settle down. He wishes to handle the situation himself. Pedro picks up his wine glass and downs it all. Anyway, back to the charms. I think what's going on is this place may be interfering with them on purpose. You wouldn't wear a disguise in your own house, right? A place can't be a real home if you're forced to keep appearances all the time like that. So the charms malfunction. If they didn't, this place wouldn't properly offer them respite, as far as the magic of the land is concerned. You give Asterion a sideways glance. He's looking down at his wine, swirling it, thinking it through. He breathes in and takes a long sip. Perhaps. I admit I never quite understood this part of the realm. I always assumed it must be due to some unfathomable explanation I'd never learn. The gods may always have some mechanism beyond mortal ken. I know not if you're correct, but what you say makes sense. His eyes take a sharper glint. You really dove into the old documents. I wonder how much you know by now. After adjusting his tail feathers, Pedro pours himself another glass of wine. Oscar continues munching, oblivious. You only notice now that Asterion is holding his breath, gaze aimed at the peacock. Pedro, still pouring his wine, stares back. Oscar looks to you in search of some clue of what may be happening. But your gaze, good master, is aimed not at the men around you, nor at the food, rather the peacock's careless hand pouring wine past the rim into a messy overflow. Pedro, you're making a mess there. Oh. I apologise for being a bit selfish with the wine. But waste not, want not. Oh well. With a laugh, Pedro toasts and you all join in. Though even with a little less tension in the air, the silence lingers a little longer. This is the moment for you to take matters into your own hands. So, Oscar, how's it been going with your drumming classes anyway? Oh, it's a lot of rudiments and claves and stuff. That's shit like the little pattern things that make up songs. I mean, it's tough to get my hands to play stuff in the right order, or to actually count the patterns out totally properly. Once you really get in the groove, move with it. Makes you feel like a total fucking genius. He guffaws and taps out a pattern on the table. Before he notices the commotion he's making and quiets down again. And, my teacher's always been showing me a lot of examples and stuff. Lots of jazz and weird classical shit. Well, I thought maybe we could play together, but drums might overpower your thing. Well, my teacher showed me this piece of an old guy just using a hi-hat. That's a thing with two cymbals put together. And really doing stuff with just that. So I figured, like, could you liar thingy get along with just a hi-hat? Well, we could play together. He keeps finding new things to say or rhythm to demonstrate. And so the awkward silence is extinguished. Oscar's eagerness to show off leaves no room for any other topic. The conversation drifts to music genres. You open another bottle of wine so that all may let loose. Oscar brings up the polyrhythms and odd time signatures he's so in love with, and Asterion fires back with Mesomedi's of Crete with his hymn to Nemesis in 15/8 time. While for a moment Asterion is proud to impress Oscar with his ability to handle uncommon time signatures, he cannot match Oscar's deftness in tapping 3 with one hand to 4 with the other. You make your way to the kitchen to prepare dinner. Asterion talks about how ancient instruments really can mix with far more modern ones, such as a lyre with a trumpet. Oscar shows all he's learned with Robert about jazz, going into detail about the third stream, a subgenre the older man is fond of. The demon and the Minotaur must be quite a distinctive pair. Perhaps Oscar was drawn to Robert's appearance. He might have felt some kinship, as someone whose looks were once an obstacle. Once the food is ready, Asterion sets the table, and you bring over the dishes. Even between mouthfuls, the conversation goes on about country music Luke had shown to Pedro and Oscar one night, when they had dinner together. Mr. Walker said country music boils down to 3 chords and the truth. I kind of like that. And during dessert, a honey cake with quince and nuts, Oscar goes on about the next lessons he's looking forward to in his musical journey. It's a night to remember, and the fireplace crackles in anticipation of its rightful gift. The last, most honourable glass of wine belongs to the ashes, as always. Though by far the greatest of joys belongs to Oscar. When did he ever have a proper dinner at the table, surrounded by so many faces whose eyes see nothing abnormal in him? When did people ask him such mundane questions, so honest and caring about his little dreams? When did he have something like this, so close to a loving family? Is it any wonder that he goes quiet as the knot in his throat swells and a mist reaches his eyes? Asterion and Pedro, having drunk too much, do not notice Oscar's quietude. But you do. Is everything all right? Even under the living room's faint light, there is a starry glimmer to his wet, thoughtful eyes. I'm fine. It's nothing. He swirls his glass, filled now with the water tinged by the last few drops of wine. He hasn't taken another bite of food in a while now. All right. But, and forgive me if I'm assuming, I'm sorry if the conversation earlier had you confused. To be honest, I'm not sure I was following it either. But Asterion didn't mean to alienate you. Yeah, that's fine. Didn't bother me or anything. It's just... Shit, I mean, fuck, gosh. I never got along well with my family. They didn't know what a mythical was, and neither did I, for that matter. Things were always rough between us. Everything was always my fault, and if I showed my face at the dinner table, things would get ugly. Ran away a few times to try and find something better, but it never worked out. He listened to every word, nodding, looking him in the eyes. Though he hesitates, not knowing for or what he should share, every gentle affirmation sets his heart further at ease. Asterion and Pedro notice your attentive gaze and follow it to Oscar. The quietude between the two of you spreads to them. Well, as I could see, it wasn't a place in my family, or the world for me. 6 years old or so, at school I showed a little picture book. It was about a grandpa telling his grandson the story of the Minotaur. It showed those dudes and chicks on the boat, going to the labyrinth where the Minotaur was waiting. And it talked about he was born with his mom, you know. And the grandpa said he turned violent as he grew up, because he didn't have a place in the world, so he put him in a labyrinth he couldn't escape from. And then came a hero with a ball of yarn to kill him, save everyone and take the princess with him. That was, like, the closest I knew about what I am. All my life I thought it was meant to be like that. A monster. That was fated to be evil. I was so glad I'm sure that was it. I thought there was no point in fighting back. I tried it. Being, evil. I didn't have the stomach. When Pedro came along, made me a charm, and things changed overnight. We spent a week going around the place, looking at this hotel, never finding a clue about it. Those were some of the happiest days of my entire life. After that, I started living with Pedro, and for the first time, I felt like I had a home. Then I got to meet you and Mr. Asterion. He turns to face Asterion. As their gazes meet, however, there's a sudden hesitation. Something more than shyness, you realise. Eye contact does not come naturally to Oscar. It demands conscious effort of him. Ever since Pedro told me there'd been another Minotaur somewhere, I've been cracking my mind about this. What am I even supposed to be? Like, yeah, it can be good or bad. I can choose. Well, that ain't the end of it, right? Some people are just born sort of different. Others are straight up fucked. So what does it mean that I was born, this way? What does that make of me? I'd be different if I'd been born human. Like, would trying to be good ever go okay for someone like us Minotaurs? Or they're always going to go wrong and make me regret it? Can I go to school and hold on a job? Or having a home and a family? Maybe I wouldn't eat people, but, like, would I just end up going berserk one day? Fuck up who I care about? Maybe this sounds so silly for you since you're so smart and live in such an amazing place. Where I come from, not many people even finish middle school. So what chance will I even have? But now I know I can do all of that. Seeing you and all this. I can go to school, hold a job, have a home and friends too. Asterion shifts in his seat, nose and cheeks a little flushed. He only barely leans forward to hear more, but his ears are at full attention. And on top of that, a little laugh, half a groan. Oh, I thought I was just some kind of fucked up monster. It was only a matter of time before I became a cannibal or something. And Pedro came along and got me dreaming that maybe that wasn't true. But how long would that last? There really was something evil in me that pulled me back. Both Minotaur's ears droop. Even after I met Pedro, I couldn't really let go of the idea that deep down as a monster, that shit would happen at some point. I'd flip out and fuck it up and ruin everything. But when you and I talked the first time, Mr. Asterion, you ain't a monster. You're kind, you welcomed us into your home, and you two protected Pedro. You aren't. You just fucking can't be a monster. So I reckon that, if I do good too, I won't be a monster either. Or maybe I wasn't ever a monster at all. No, I know for sure I'm not some kind of total freak. Humans aren't monsters either. A louder laugh, a real guffaw, his expression is still strained. I don't sound real obvious to you, Leo, but, I sometimes wanted to believe that everyone's horrible. That people are all just evil. Nobody really had a heart. I don't really, and I'm happy with that. Feels like the world and people make sense. Feels like life is worth living. Sorry if I'm talking too much. I know that was a lot. Both Asterion and Pedro stir, with eyes a little misty, but before they rise to aid the young Minotaur. Oscar's eyes shine as if a universe had been created inside them. Wherever he looks, whoever he sees is coloured by the sea of infinite possibilities. Teeming with hope as he is, in such mastery of himself, to add a single word would be to pollute this special moment. The same ideas cross your and Pedro's mind. As if in sync, you each lay a hand on Oscar's shoulders. Asterion looks at the three of you, snout burning pink, trying to push down a knot swelling in his throat. I don't regret saying this, but I think I can find a way to like it. Being me. Still wish my family wasn't the way it is. Wish I'd known my dad. Wish school had been better and I could have learned music sooner. I think too hard. It's easy getting lost in all my regrets. There's so many. It sure would have been great if life hadn't been so fucked up. Well, that's not so bad now that I'm here. Or maybe one day. No, I feel it. This feeling I don't know how to call it. I can see how different I am from everyone else, and it still hurts a little. But it only bothered me because of what life was like. Not because being different is that bad. That's the thing, If I hadn't been different, I never found a way home. To Pedro. To this place. I suppose I'm happy I was born like I am. Took a while, but life's gotten better for it. Some of my brothers are doing okay back in the hinterlands. I don't think any of them are as happy as I've been since I met Pedro. I wouldn't be here with you guys tonight if I didn't put up with them corking my horns and shit when I was a kid, right? Asterion reaches up to feel the tip of his horn, a little groan of empathy. That makes me think about the Minotaur from the legend. I dream my dad must have been someone special, doing cool things that kept him away. Maybe sailing the sea. That's what used to come to my mind the most. He used to go to bed and stay awake, fantasize about the day he'd show up and take me away. Doesn't make much sense. I imagine to be the one from the stories, still around somehow. He somehow survived the legend all those centuries. He'd come back to pick me up. Even thought he'd come by in a big-ass Chevrolet pickup truck. Can you believe that? And then he'd teach me how to act like a proper one of his kind. He'd show me what men like us are meant to be. So all this time I was waiting for someone to come and tell me who I'm supposed to be. How? He takes a deep breath, for his wet eyes don't become wetter until heavy tears rain down his smile. His voice trembles and he looks away from Asterion. I just wish I could tell him I'm thankful for it all. I think this life is finally worth it. He starts to rub his eyes with his forearms, but he keeps talking without pause. No matter what kind of person he was, what he did or didn't do, well, I'm glad we exist. I don't know, hugging him was something. Pedro hands Oscar his unused dinner napkin. The Minotaur rubs his whole face with it, wiping away the tears and mussing up his fur. Does this all make sense to you, Mr. Asterion? The few specks of dust in the air, the drops of wine and water on the rims of the glasses, even the fire crackling. Everything lowers itself and holds its breath. All eyes are on Asterion as he breathes in and out. As the weight of the world on his shoulders and the ends around his neck turn into wings. His eyes open, they're as sharp as the sun is bright, as if a great and terrible slumber has come to an end. And when he speaks... Thank you, Oscar. His voice rumbles as it came from the most ancient depths of the earth. You are not a monster, nor were you meant to be one. Will you say the same for me? Oscar, with the simplicity of one, doesn't understand the meaning of what he says, but knows of its importance, does not hesitate. Of course, how could you be? The muscles on Asterion's neck twitch. His teeth are gritted, eyes closed, claw-like fingers curled on the tablecloth. He breathes out and the air is hot, as if it came from the depths of the earth's magmatic core. It is settled then. After so long, a definitive answer. A question burning from the days we were born, which we can now put to rest for all time. Once we are done, I will make this moment eternal. For you, for me, for whoever may come next. Do you promise, Oscar, that what we have just agreed to is unchangeable, eternal, definitive, though we shall never go back on it? Again Oscar speaks with simplicity. He is a child and cannot fathom what storm rages inside the oldest of Minotaurs. Oh, I got no intention of doing that. You don't got to worry about me. Good. In that case, it is time I tell you the truth. With the voice and fire from the depths of the earth, Asterion weaves a tale. I am Asterion of Crete, son of King Minos who descended from Zeus, son of Queen Pasiphae who radiated the sun's light, sired by the ocean's revenge. One you've not heard from his lips, though you know it well in your heart, his long history, but rebuilt with this new flame at its core. I was once master of the old labyrinth that harboured in its heart a holy relic, which I protected and commanded. He has in his eyes that sharpness of one who knows love, and that he is loved. Many were the accusations against me. Cannibalism, murder, cowardice. They were all false, and I lived not in disgrace. The strength of a king who loves his people. I was born when the gods held sway and walked among us, and I exist still now. I am the first Minotaur. The tale continues. The Minotaur will tell as many times as required, though from now on only in its truest form yet. The Athenians who murdered my brother and envied our prosperity lied about my family and I. Ours was a peaceful land, our people kind. We were friends and learned with the craftsmen of North Africa and the Levant. Our goods were spread all across the Mediterranean and inland. Oscar listens, ears flickering to catch every word, while Pedro sits back and watches it all with eyes unclouded. It's been thousands of years. Are you still alive? I am not. I died long ago and was sent to my rightful place of rest, wherein I found new glories to my name. I guarded the realm and protected the underworld's queen, Queen Persephone, and for that I was given great honour. But a certain goddess, for reasons I cannot fathom, was discontent with that state of affairs and saw it fit to imprison me. In this once accursed realm, which Leo and I rule over now. This realm was created to contain and torture me, and indeed it ate away at me for a time, but you can see what became of it. But many loopholes I found by wit and wisdom, such that one by one the vile laws of this land were brought down. I turned this prison, meant to torment me, into my haven. It is ours now, to be used for the benefit of the lost, the forgotten, the abandoned, and all that is so dearly human. For your benefit, too. You know now a forbidden truth. A painful one, but a definitive proof I wish you to remember for all days to come. You are not a monster. And though my story is long and difficult, and this land cruel and terrible, we made a good home for all. No matter what, you can make a good home for yourself as well. I am not your father, but if you wish for a legacy to carry, for something to define you, I would be glad if you accept this one thing. That you are worthy of life and a blessing upon all around you. Oscar squeezes the tablecloth in his hand, brow pursed and eyes once again wet. He looks to Pedro. The peacock sighs and puts a hand on his shoulder, squeezes it. I know it sounds absurd. I think he's telling the truth. How is all of it even possible? I've been looking at the documents down this place's archives, judging by how far back it goes. I believe it. Asterian's been signing those contracts for almost 2,000 years. Same handwriting, even. I saw him on my grandpa's feather. He was around back in the 40s. He hasn't aged a day, Oscar. I think he's the real deal. The young Minotaur is overwhelmed and lost. Takes his elder only a moment to change tack. Well, if you want proof, I can show you a thing or two. Oh, Leo and I could summon a few things. No, that's enough. It's a lot to take in. Oscar has to command himself to breathe. Eyes closed, he tries to put it together. So you're the Minotaur? You could say that. I do not know of a Minotaur before me, and until your arrival, I knew not of any other one. Before you died, did you have kids? I did not. Oscar sinks in his chair. His gaze goes vacant, yet loses none of its intensity. I'm sorry. Excuse me. I need some air. Oscar pushes his chair back, turns his back to everyone and goes for the exit. Oscar! I'll be back. Just give me a minute, all right? Please? Sorry about that. He's a good kid. Just some things get overwhelming for him. I understand well what he is feeling now. I appreciate your honesty. I connected some dots already, what with your name and all the paper trail. I haven't quite gotten the full picture. And I reckon you didn't have to share it with me, so thanks for that too. You're welcome. So now we Wait? I reckon you just need some time, yeah. And that's where we're going to leave things. There, my voice is starting to give up a bit, so I think it's a good spot to finish. And of course, trying to do Pedro's voice is actually quite difficult. So if he sounds quite different, that's why. I hope you enjoyed that latest update from Minotaur Hotel. We'll have more over the summer as we continue with this update that we just got public. Next weekend is a spectrum of hybrids. We have some more Chainia coming up, and also there's another story I need to be putting together. Not one I've written, but writer you know already off from the channel. So there'll be a few things, and probably towards the end of the month I'm going to start on a project you won't see for a few months. It's going to be a bit of a longer thing, and I'm saving it up for a certain time of year. But look out for that as well. Yeah, a few more things coming up, and I'll try and slot a couple of extra videos in there. Before I go, as always, thanks to all my donors on Ko-fi and Patreon. And special mention to my top patrons: Omar, Spiderling, Smuto, Tiger Cup, Aramatarasu, Alan Mayer, Greylock, Mark Eskerton, Gracious Evan, Mike Kenya, Kartek, Evan King, Harvest Mouse Productions, Grizz, Exec, Cobus Visser, Nova Starburn, Ryan Hall, Baker, Bastian, Aaron Fox, and Andy Peng. Until we return with our spectrum of hybrids next week, thanks for watching. Bye for now.